been listening to WGAZ, the electricity of Manhattan. This request has gone all the way out to Crystal Lake in the senior class at Lakeview High.
That's us.
All right.
They'll be graduating on the 13th of this month, and we wish them the best of luck and success when they come to visit our seductive city. Our lure is a great one, young friends, but beware. The city of lights casts many shadows indeed.
Welcome to Rabbit and Blue Radio with the Skeleton Crew, exclusively at horrorbid.com.
Hey, welcome to Rabbit and Blue Radio with the Skeleton Crew. This is the 12 days of Friday to the 13th. I'm your host, Alex, joined as always by Michael J. and our special guest host, Dan Chase. And here we are for the most controversial of all Friday the 13th. You know, I don't understand why. I mean, you know, Friday the 13th has its peaks and valleys, and, you know, the last movie was definitely a valley, and I think it really peaked back again with Jason Takes Manhattan.
Bullshit, sir. Oh, sorry. I gotta call bullshit.
You don't think this was a big peak?
No, this is not a big valley.
No, you're right.
mean,
It's not.
I'm sorry. This is a valley. I'm sorry. Wait, seven was a peak. This was a fucking valley.
Yeah.
This was a fucking crater. This isn't even a valley. This is a crater in the earth. You do realize that the only reason that you like 8 is because it's the first one you saw in the theater. That's your reasoning, isn't it?
No, not at all. I think I was lucky enough to have seen it in the theater.
Oh, good Lord. I think you're on drugs, but okay.
Fine. Mike, everyone who listens to this show and hates this movie is probably going to think I'm crazy right now. I'm probably going to have zero credibility after the show is over. But it's my job right now to rebuild my credibility by pointing out legit reasons that this movie is not as bad as everyone says it is.
Okay. Convince away. I'm just, yeah.
And it's your job to represent everyone who hates this movie, and it's your job to say to me everything that they would want to say if they could be on this show right now.
Mike, we have the easiest job in the world.
Oh, I agree 100%, Dan. 100%.
Now, this movie starts out great. You got Jim and Susie on a boat at Crystal Lake. You couldn't start it any better than that. Well, actually, they had a great opening montage. They showed New York City, classic 80s stuff. I think the movie actually starts off with the Twin Towers. That's awesome to see them in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then they go through New York, and you see how it's all gritty and 80s. It's really cool. Great song to start it off. Then you got those two, and they're playing on the radio, and it says the graduating class of Crystal Lake or something like that. And, you know, be careful that the city casts many shadows. It's just a great start, really nice feeling to the movie. And then when Jim talks about, you know, there was this boy, his name was Jason Voorhees, and blah, blah. And he tells the whole story. Here, I'm going to play the clip right now.
There was this boy named Jason Voorhees, drowned in Crystal Lake about 30 years ago. None of the counselors heard him. A bunch of years went by, and everyone forgot about it. And that's when the murder started to happen.
Jason did it?
His mother blamed the counselors for her son's death, and she tried to kill them all. But she got her head chopped off by one of them. Legend has it that Jason came back to get even, vowing to kill every teenager in the area. And every now and then, the murders just start up.
See, now that was an awesome clip. That really set the tone for this movie.
Yeah, I like the beginning, Alex. It's not the beginning that bothers me. It's just everything that pretty much came after it.
No, it's the beginning that bothers me.
Okay, what bothers you about it?
Let's get down to business here. Let's get down to what's really wrong with this movie, okay?
Yeah, right.
The movie starts out, Paramount logo happens. It's like,
Yeah.
Suck. I'm like, okay, awesome, like that. Then you go into music, okay? And you know, right there, you're doomed from the start. Because any Friday the 13th movie, I don't care if the song was marginally good, which it was an enjoyable song. It did not belong in the beginning of this movie. Even Friday the 13th Part 5 had the fucking where was that for fucking Friday 8? It
Dude,
was
come
not
on,
here.
move on, bro. You want the same You want the same movie 100 times. How many times?
No. I'm not saying that, but the darkest side of the night takes me out of
Dude, that was
the
perfect.
Jason mood. If you put Jason in New York, you're headed for Shitsville.
I totally agree.
And so then, you know, because I'm serious, like hearing the song made me want to blow my brains out of my head. Because it's just like it don't belong to me.
I have that song on CD, and I play it in my car at nighttime.
I know, dude, I downloaded the song. I liked the song. The freaking Friday the 13th movie that we made back in '07, on the DVD that you gave me, it's on the menu.
Exactly.
I liked the song. It did not belong in that movie.
I don't know what you're talking about. If you don't like the movie, that's fine. But as far as it not belonging there, it fit. I don't understand that music you want, that dun 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 dun, that would never have fit when they were showing the city.
It wasn't that movie, right? It wasn't that kind of movie.
Exactly. I don't know what you're talking about, Mike. So far, I'm still right.
But that's what's wrong with the movie, is that it wasn't that kind of movie. Okay, and then you get on the boat with Jim and Susie.
Yeah, let's get
all
there.
right? And first of all, the scene where you get her side boob, all right, first of all, come on, don't shy away from the nudity. You're the eighth movie in the franchise at this point. Do not shy away from it. Show us full boob, not side boob. Thank you.
They want more people to go to the movie theater, and they can't show too much nudity, otherwise they wouldn't sell tickets.
The movie was rated R anyway.
Well, then I don't know.
Mike's just like, I don't care, boobs.
Yeah, all he wants is boobs.
Yeah, because she has the perfect ones. Okay, now look. All right, and then, come on. Can we have any more of a ripoff from Part 6? Lightning again to bring him back to life? Come on, give me a break.
Dude, well, how else was he supposed to come back to life? A girl's supposed to just think about her dad, and he's going to pop up out of the water? Well, was that better?
No, but what should have happened is the ship going to New York, when it hoisted up the anchor to go out of the dock, it should have,
snagged him?
Ripped him up from his watery grave, and then that's how he could have gotten onto the boat. I would have bought that a lot more than this lightning storm.
Whatever. All right.
And where was John Shepard? Okay, John Shepard was nowhere to be seen. He should have been there.
He's gone. And that wasn't really him. Didn't you hear what I told you in the last thing?
Yeah, we already went over this.
Yeah, it wasn't him. It was just her imagination. It was her telekinetic powers that brought Jason back in the water.
Yeah, I still think that he was there.
I think the only thing that me and Mike can really agree on is overall this movie sucks.
I think people like to agree with a lot of people. And I think that if you actually look at this, I want you to tell me what's wrong.
Here's my reasons, real quick, for hating this movie. And I'll tell you, it's hard because you can't look at one person and put blame on him, especially the director, because they had to work what they were given with. They didn't have a budget to shoot in New York. Now, putting Jason in New York, that's debatable. I think if they switched it up a little bit and made it a little darker, I think it could have worked. But, they didn't. They had Jason come in the beginning of Part 2 in the suburbs, killing Adrian King in the beginning. So they've taken him out of Crystal Lake before.
Exactly.
That's not the problem. The problem is, like we said, they only had so much to work with in New York. So the couple scenes that were in New York, it was okay. It was good, but you could just tell. You could tell it was what, Canada, right? Vancouver?
I couldn't tell that until I found out in 2004.
No, I totally knew, because the way they shot those scenes in the back alleys with the drug addicts and all that stuff, I knew from the first time, or maybe not the first time, but a couple times after watching that movie, I could totally tell.
No, dude, see, that's not right. You're supposed to be watching the drug addicts and what they're doing. I wasn't even thinking about where they were. All I was wondering is if they were going to shoot her up with dope. I don't understand what you're saying.
if they really brought it to New York, they could have done a lot more with it, is what I'm trying to say. They could have, right off the top of my head, they could have used so many different scenes with granted, they did use the Statue of Liberty. That was cool. I like that aspect of it. And like you said, the two towers, I believe, in the beginning. Yeah. There were certain cool aspects to Jason being in the city. It was cool, but I just think, I don't know, the couple of scenes that were there, and then obviously 90% of the movie being on the boat, it didn't go over well with me. Like I said, those couple scenes though were great. I like those scenes when they're in the boat coming up to the Statue of Liberty, even on top of the rooftop when he's fighting that guy. I love that.
It was great. Yeah. And see, and that's the thing. Like, everybody complains that they're on the boat too long. They really weren't. I mean, they were just on the boat, and it is what it was. I wasn't, like, waiting for them to get to New York. While they were on the boat, I was just waiting to see what happened while they were there. I wasn't like, oh, my God, is this ride going to be over with? It wasn't like I was really on a boat waiting to get somewhere, like, oh, my God, are we going to be there yet? I wasn't even thinking about that. I was watching the movie. Right. I don't understand why people act like because they were on a boat for some period of time that it wasn't a good movie. They did good stuff on that boat.
No, absolutely. That's not my main gripe with it. I guess what I'm trying to say is if you're going to call a movie Jason Takes Manhattan, and it does take a while to get there, and then the few scenes when you do get there are, in my mind, kind of lackluster, minus, like I said, the Statue of Liberty scene and all that kind of stuff. But it's just, I don't know, it just wasn't what I expected, I guess, and because of that, because it didn't, live up to my expectations. That's why I kind of didn't like it. Now, I know what you're saying. Everybody says the same thing. He's on the boat too long and all this stuff. I just think that if you're going to call it Jason Takes Manhattan, get him in the city and use better setups. That's my only gripe, I guess, with it.
Yeah, well, see, that's not so bad. All right, now, Mike, you act like you have a whole list of stuff to...
Yeah, exactly. Okay?
Okay, like then, what? What?
Okay, then... When Jason, after he kills those other kids on the boat, then he goes to that ship or whatever, and he just, pops out of the water in broad daylight, holding on to the ship.
Yeah.
How come nobody saw him? Please explain that one to me. Because it's broad daylight, and he just pops out of the water. You have no argument. I win.
He was on the other side of the boat, and nobody was looking over there.
Oh. Okay, no. See, the deckhand... who was a perfect copy almost of Crazy Ralph. Another, I hate that so much.
Oh, what? But it's okay for the guy from Part 3 to say, go back from where you came? What, he's not...
Because the thing is, he wasn't he was in the movie, he was only in that one scene. The deckhand was in more than one scene. And the deckhand was just annoying.
Well, they did the Crazy Ralph thing a few times. We've talked about that with the guy with, drinking the booze and looking at the camera and all that. They've done that a few times. I think they were trying to keep continuity in that aspect.
Exactly. So you're wrong again, Mike. You haven't proved shit. Go ahead, keep going. Oh, what, because he pulled up on a chain on a boat? That's why the movie sucks? Keep going. What else?
Well, I think we've already reached the first part there. And then you figure just all the parts on the boat. You had a girl, playing the guitar, JJ, in, the bottom of the ship.
That's realistic.
But it wasn't. It was just extra shit that wasn't needed at all.
I liked her song, actually. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, no, I liked when she got beat with the guitar and just, died.
And that was cool, too. He smashed her in the head with the guitar. That's awesome. I don't...
that was actually the first inclination of found footage that I think I ever saw in a film, when the dude, Wayne, is walking down with the camera.
Yeah.
And, kind of, focuses on Jason down there. That was pretty neat.
The best part is when the guy's walking around with the camera and he shoots the deckhand.
That is good. See, there's a lot of things about this movie that, like I said, I don't like, but there are some good aspects.
How about that scene with, I think her name was Tamara the blonde, where she has the principal in her room?
Dude, that's
and
awesome.
She tries to, show the... I will say that was enjoyable.
And when McCullough's like, hey, and he, turned his head, hey.
Yeah.
That was so funny, dude.
Yeah, that was.
And the best part is when that dork Wayne or whatever, he walks in and he goes, senior class predictions are downstairs. And he goes, well, some of us don't want our futures predicted. And he goes, yes, well, in your case, I'm sure that's true.
Well, no. Those are just little bright spots in an otherwise sea of shit.
You haven't proven...
I have a few. And then, I mean, the little Jason in the water.
That was awesome, dude.
He's in at the porthole, and he's like...
Oh, that is the best part of the movie. Dude, her delusions of Jason, when he's banging on the porthole.
First of all...
That's fucking creepy.
But they didn't even have the kid made out to look like Jason would have in, part 1 Error.
Oh, like they made Jason look like any movie before. He didn't look like...
No. They didn't give him the mongoloid look. And don't tell me they did.
Yes, they did. He had the long gray hair. He had the gnarled mouth and the teeth. He had the eye that was all messed up.
No, they didn't do that in 8, though.
They didn't do what?
When she had the delusions in 8, they didn't make him look like that.
Oh, yeah, he looked like a boy, like some parts. He had hair or something like that. But what about the great scene when she remembers Mr. McCullough pushing her off the boat, and then you see Jason pulling on her leg. Dude, that was freaking awesome.
I like that scene, Alex, I really do, but I didn't like that whole setup, that backstory between them. I just didn't like it. I can't put my hand on it. I can't put my finger on it, rather, but there's just something about that backstory that just I did not like at all.
But it ties her into Jason.
Look, but that's the thing. So wait. I'm sorry, Alex, but this is what I'm thinking here. So then you're telling me that she actually ran into Jason in the water.
No. It was in her mind.
Pulled her under. Well, then her mind is pretty fucked up if you ask me.
It is. Dude, obviously he didn't come out of the mirror and grab her throat. Obviously he wasn't banging on the porthole, and he obviously wasn't pulling her down. Her uncle put that in her mind and says, you better learn to swim, otherwise Jason pulls little boys and girls down under who don't know how to swim. It was all in her mind, dude.
And that's why the delusions in that porthole can be interpreted as her thoughts of Jason, not literally the mongoloid that we know and love.
And the only flaw was that the dog ran out of the room too after that happened. That's about the only thing wrong. And maybe the dog saw something else. Maybe a fish flew by or something.
Well, actually, you know what, and I hate this because this actually supports your point. But you know how animals are. We talked about it before. When they sense something bad, they get out of there.
Exactly. So far, this is a great movie. Keep going.
No, it's not. No, because we haven't even gotten into New York or Vancouver yet. Come on, just let me get there.
Well, okay, well, no, another boat. We still got a lot to talk about. How about?
Well, then I don't see what else. I mean, it's just him killing people on a boat. It's nothing spectacular.
Dude, it was awesome when he chokes that girl in the dance room and then he just drops her like a sack of potatoes.
She deserves to die.
Exactly, you love that.
She was a drug addict slut.
Oh my God.
One of the greatest scenes ever was when those two girls did coke and then pushed Rennie straight off a boat right into the ocean.
Right. Yeah, no, you know what wasn't a good scene? When the fucking blonde, when Jason kills her in the bathroom and, she is naked, but you don't see anything.
Dude, that was hilarious. He went to pull her dress off and she went to run and banged her head into the wall. And then he punches the mirror like a badass and picks up that glass and stabs her. Dude, what are you talking about? That wasn't good. I don't even know what you mean.
It doesn't seem like that enjoyable, really.
What's wrong with that?
I don't know. Because it's just like, to me, it's the same old stuff. They're supposed to be in New York. They're on a boat. I can't deal with that.
Yeah, Alex, see, the points you're making are very good points. They're good scenes and stuff like that. See, my main thing with it, and I don't know if Mike agrees with this or not, but if you look at the entire series, it's one of the last ones I put on. I don't hate this movie. I don't hate any Jason movie. Jason's fucking badass, and the kills are always great. There's nothing I really hate about the series, except 9, but we'll get to that after. But there's nothing I really hate about this movie, except it's probably the last one, like I said, that I'll put on. I'd rather watch pretty much every single one before this one or, 9 for that matter. So it's just one of those things where I'm not like, oh, fuck, Jason Takes Manhattan. It was cool. Take him out, put him in the city. Even Jason on a boat, Now, I think the title's a little misleading, but Jason on a boat's a good idea. It hasn't really been done before, so...
It should be called Jason Takes the Lazarus. It could have been called that.
Right.
But nobody would go to see a movie like that.
No,
exactly.
No, honestly, no. If they would have put Jason Takes a Boat or Jason Takes a Ship, or you know what? Here's the thing. How about don't put a subtitle underneath it and just call it Friday the 13th Part 8? I would have seen it, and maybe would have enjoyed it.
The title is a huge selling point.
Well, I was talking about this earlier too, though, Alex. We'll watch any Jason movie. I don't care what anybody says. You'll go and see any Jason movie.
Of course, look, you watched Part 7.
It's not the worst movie. You're absolutely right. It's got some great scenes in it. It's just probably one of my least favorites. And and there are a few things in it which we'll get to that I can't stand, but like I said, that's towards the end. So
okay, but how about this? Ready?
It's one of the longest. It is one of the longest at like an hour and 40 minutes.
Exactly, dude. They really tried here.
It did.
Yeah, but that's why the boat stuff just drags, because it's too long.
But it was all good stuff on the boat. I was never bored. I don't know. It was a fast-paced movie. It was just interesting, dude, and I love the characters. Mr. McCullough is like one of the greatest assholes in the entire franchise, dude.
Yeah, his kill when he gets dumped in the toxic waste was, that was awesome. I like that.
And you love to see him die. It's a perfect formula.
Yeah, he did make a nice sound effect. And it's like we're flailing and shit.
He stuffs McCullough into a vat with a dead rat floating in there. That was classic, dude. Well, Dan, think of it like this. You said that you don't hate it, but it's the last one you'll put on. Now, how about this? Guess what, though? Guess what? You still put it on.
Right.
That means if a movie is truly terrible, you got to be a moron to watch it, right?
Right.
So that means you really don't think that.
No. And see, and that's my main point, and that's what I want to get across too. It's not that I hate this movie, and I have it on DVD. That's saying a lot, in itself. But like Alex, you said, dude, you said you saw this in the theater. Now, if I saw this in the theater, if I saw New York City, like that scene in Times Square in the theater, I'd probably feel different about it to this day. I'll be perfectly honest with you, because I think that it's a big deal. For you to go in and see a movie like that, especially at a young age, it gets into your mind, I remember seeing Scream when I was 11, and, the whole series basically changed my view on horror movies. That's where I really got into it from there. So I know the effect that has, so.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't think it's that effect, because look.
I do.
That was the first Friday 13th I ever saw in the theater. I was 10 years old.
Right.
We went to go see Batman, me, my dad, and my sister. And as we were leaving, we looked up at the other doors, and above one of the doors it said, Jason Takes Manhattan. And my dad goes, come on. And we all walked in, and we saw it for free. And now I wish I can go back and buy that ticket just to support this movie.
So you don't think that has anything to do with your views on the movie today, seeing it as a young kid?
Okay, I admit. Okay, so I saw that when I was 10 in 1989. Now, when it came out, when I got into horror again,
right.
Modern horror again,
right.
when I was 20, when I bought it on VHS, I was very excited, and when I watched it, I was like, wow, yeah, I remember all this stuff. This is great, man. And this was before I got into like the internet stuff and message boards and all that kind of stuff. So no one's outside negativity ever really entered my mind. So I just watch it, and I don't know, I just said this is that movie. I didn't think of it like, oh, how come this didn't happen, or why is this, or how dumb is that? It was just the movie. I didn't have people telling me that it was bad.
Right.
So until I joined message boards in 2004, I was so surprised when everybody hated it.
I know exactly what you mean, though. Other people definitely have an effect on it. I must say, I guess what my only thing to say to that is, when you hear a good point and you agree with it, I think that's what it's all about. Now, the other trolling type of stuff where people just bash it all around, I'm not really with that. I agree. I think I think I got problems with this movie. I've heard it repeated by other people many times, and I can totally agree with that. But I guess overall, I'm not gonna buy into, oh, this movie sucks. Like, that's why I try not to. I read reviews somewhat, but not really. I try to go into movies as blind as possible. So.
Yeah, you don't want somebody else like us ruining your. People listen to our show and it's like, oh, I thought part 3 was really good, and they're like, so like you don't want an asshole like us to tell you that something's not good.
And that's why we do these, though, and it's fun. It's fun to debate why people think these movies suck. Because let's face it, why else will we be talking about all these Friday the 13th movies? Because they hold a special place in everybody's hearts. So, it's fun to look at why and why not people, don't like them and all that kind of stuff. I think that's really where it's at,
And you know what I love about how we do this show? When we say we don't like something, I give you a complete breakdown of why it's completely stupid or something like that, like I did in the Part 3 show. Now, I would never just say, Part 3 sucks, man. Why? Because they're just in the same type of thing again, just killing people. Oh, yeah? That's why it sucks? Yeah.
I gave you some reasoning as to why it sucks, though, sir.
No, and that's fine. But so far, I've counterpointed all your points. And
well, no, I agree with it. I agree with your counters.
Thank you. And Dan, we can now get into whatever you said. I think we already did the boat stuff.
Yeah.
Great. And yes, what the F moment when they did push her off the ship. I was just on a cruise on the 19th to the 25th of March, and if you got pushed off that ship.
Yeah.
You would probably be a mile from the ship in about 90 seconds.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so they get to New York, and right away they didn't walk 10 feet before the 2 Puerto Rican guys go, and they hold them at gunpoint. So then they kidnap this girl for rape right in front of 4 or 5 other people, right outside, right in the open.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Rennie's boyfriend, that Sean, the captain's son, he was a pansy. I'm sorry, but he was.
Yeah.
He's a pansy.
He was. He's like, well, I don't know what we should do.
Wasn't he Brandon on 90210?
No, that was Jason Priestley. This guy was on The Young and the Restless. His name's Scott Reeves. He's married to Melissa Reeves, who's on Days of Our Lives.
Now, what do you guys think about the famous scene in Times Square, the real New York scene where Jason comes up and sees those kids playing the music and all that stuff? Because I love that scene. I know I've heard a lot of people say they don't like it. I think it's right on. That's what I want to see from a Jason Takes Manhattan.
That's the only good scene. Well, no, there's 2 other scenes. There's one other scene that was good from the New York / Vancouver footage. But the Times Square scene is definitely my favorite.
Yeah. I love that.
When he walks up and kicks the boombox, that's classic stuff right there.
And then he shows the kids his face too, and it's just classic. Because, like I said,
it's cool, man. It's cool.
It's all camp, Yeah.
Yeah.
I
See,
just think they know what they're doing with this movie. You know what I mean? They've done the telekinesis. They've done pretty much every scenario you can picture. So take them out of Crystal Lake, and then where do you go from there? Are you gonna be serious with it? Because it's just. It seems like they hit the tone perfect with this movie. Now, whether you like that tone or not, but I think they hit it perfectly. To where the series was in that time, late 80s, I think it was perfect.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're right. It was a quintessential 80s movie. I'll give it that, especially like we said with the girls doing coke and all that stuff. But, they just hit it perfectly, so I'll give it that.
So then the music and the score was perfect for this movie too, and it had
I
nothing.
loved it.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with any of the other Jason movies.
Nope.
But it was still perfect for it. That's why I flipped out when Mike said that the opening song was no good for that stuff.
I like the opening.
I don't think it fit. I'm sorry, I just didn't think it fit.
But fit what though? That's what I'm confused about. Like, what did you want it to be like? More kind of, I guess, quote unquote, dark, Mike, like where it would be more gritty and more kind of. Because if you think about those other films, they were what they were, and they'd play off the fact that he lived in the woods and that was his thing. So take him out of it. You got to kind of adapt the music to what the movie is like, and I think, like I said, they did it perfectly. But
they did.
What
I
say
think
you, sir?
what would have been, well, no, I think what would have been better is if you would have had the opening credits with the theme music with a black screen with the titles over it, like that, like they did for the first 7 films. I would have loved if they would have continued that.
No, I don't need the same movie.
That puts me into the movie, though.
But dude, why does that have to put you into this? Like, what, you can't be put in unless that's there? I don't even understand that.
Now,
Because it
Alex,
gets me
we were
ready
talking
for
about
Jason.
peaks and valleys and stuff like that. Now, would you call this a peak in the series? Because it's always been tough for me, but I know you like the movie. Now, how do you view that?
If I have to take myself out of my logical opinion, I'm going to say no, it's not a peak.
Now, with that said, would you consider this the biggest valley in the series? Meaning 7, 8, and then 9. Do you know what I mean? Like, as many movies in a row. Like, would you say this is probably one of the downer points in the series with all these 3 movies back to back?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
it was a bad string of movies for Jason.
Right.
But
Okay.
I guess you know how you like sometimes, for example, I consider this review on our show my passion piece as opposed to what I think logically is good. But at the same time, I still don't understand why people think it's so bad. And you know, my biggest argument will be part 3, 5, and 7. How do you say that those are so much better? Where do you get off even saying that? Like, what, because it's in New York, you think that just means ridiculous right away? Because Jason Goes to Outer Space, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard of, and that was a good movie too.
Are we getting into Jason X, by the way?
Yeah.
We are. Okay, because I got a lot to say about that one, too. But, yeah, see, with this Manhattan one, and I know I keep reiterating this point, but, you know, it wasn't that bad. And I don't like people that just totally bash the film and say it's got nothing good about it. Same with Jason X. Dude, it's got some great scenes in it, whether you like the film as a whole or not. You know, a lot of the times, you know, I know we're dissecting these shows, but you know how some movies just rub you the wrong way? You can't put your finger on it. You try to, but they just, something about it doesn't sit, whether it be the tone or anything, really. And this movie, it wasn't like, oh my God, you know, this I don't like it, you know, it's just, it made me feel dirty inside. But it was just like, it was one of these at the end. I was like, okay, could have done without it, but all right, yeah, it was decent, you know. Didn't really take the series anywhere that groundbreaking or anything besides the fact that they took him out of his you know, of the lake, obviously. But
yeah, I think that's pretty groundbreaking.
See, that's the thing. I'm glad we're all talking about it in this sense because we're not, like Alex said, we're not going to, oh, we totally hate this movie. And as much as I know you don't like it, Mike, you've got to admit there are some good things in this movie that are probably
there are.
not as bad as some of the other parts in other installments. Can you agree with that?
Yeah, no, you're right. There are some good parts. There are some redeeming moments, but all in all, it just seems like, you know, it went down from even the 7th one for me.
Oh my God.
See, yeah.
I don't
That's
think
a
it
tough
went
one,
down.
man.
If anything, it plateaued around this whole period, and it went lower with Jason Goes to Hell. So,
Well, no, the New Line movies definitely, because this was the last of the Paramount films. And, you know, I know, like, the New Line movies kind of, like, for a lot of people, they kind of just, you know, went to hell, basically.
that's why they call it Jason Goes to Hell. His character did.
Yeah.
Well, right. I mean, but you got to look at it this way. Friday the 13th Part 8 came out in 89, so, and it didn't, it must have not done that well, because by 1990, Paramount said they were done with it, and they basically sold off the rights by that time.
That's because it reached its peak, you know, late 80s, like 89. That's when all this shit was dying down. Freddy, Jason, all the, you know, and horror was probably the biggest in the 80s, would you say, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And then, you know, 90s came out, like I said, it had a resurgence in the late 90s. But at this point, and I can't speak to it because I was 4 years old at this point, but looking back and knowing what I know now, I don't know if it did well or not, but you got to look at it like these guys were really running out of ideas at this point. You can only put Jason in his element so many times to where it's going to be the same movie, and they kept trying different things, like we kept saying, they did this, that, the other thing. Now, take him out of his element. It's a good idea. And, you know, it was even executed well. You know, I got no qualms with the cinematography, anything like that. It was a well-shot movie. You know, say what you will about it. But, you know, like I said, I keep going back to, it's just probably one of the last ones that I would probably pick up to watch. But, you know, overall, pretty decent movie.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the best parts of the movie. And then I want to see Mike counter those. You got, okay, let's see when he starts killing people. Julius on the roof. They go up to the roof. Julius starts.
Love it.
Yeah, Julius starts socking the shit out of him. Wham, 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 wham. He knocks him all the way across the whole building. His hands are bloody, and he's like, take your best shot, motherfucker. And he just goes, wham, knocks his head off. You see the great camera view of what his eyes were looking at.
I love that, Alex. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's
dude.
another. I don't understand why people hate this. And then his head goes into a dumpster, dude.
And then the dumpster closes.
Yeah.
Classic, dude. One of my favorite deaths in the entire franchise, hands down.
And that guy's a cool guy, V.C. Dupree. I met him a couple times. Then you got Mr. McCullough that we touched on. Okay, Mike, I'm going to go ahead and help you. I'm going to help you now. Your point. You're going to argue. You think it's stupid that Jason has the teleportation powers, right?
No, I like the teleportation powers.
So you don't mind that McCullough runs into a building and suddenly gets thrown out of it and Jason wasn't even in it before?
No, I don't mind that because that's reminiscent of the Jason that we know and love.
I never understood that. Well, I never got that, but I think it definitely brings a creep factor to it. Almost like, okay, we know this guy's dead. He's almost supernatural in that sense where he could be anywhere.
I'm dumbfounded because I can't believe this guy hates this movie, and one of the biggest gripes is something he has no problem with.
I don't have a problem with that. I do not have a problem with the teleportation of Jason.
Oh, boy.
I don't.
Okay.
I love it.
I want to hear a couple more, or at least one more what the fuck moments.
There's a couple of those. Okay, ready?
Yeah, can I give you one? Real quick? I have one. Yeah, the scene that you guys thought was so good, Julius on the rooftop, is a definite what the fuck moment for me.
What? Why?
Okay, and I'll tell you why. Because they're up there, and, okay, Jason is not going to let some guy frickin' punch the shit out of him, basically. Why would you do that? Like, that's just retarded. And obviously, it's an over-exaggerated ripoff of Halloween 4, which came out the year before this film.
It's intimidation. Jason stands there while you think you're going to do something about it.
And plus, he was wearing them down to the point where it only took them one shot, boom, your head's off. I think that's exactly what that was trying to show. Hit him all you want. All it takes with him is one shot and your head's off. I think that was the whole point of it.
I don't even think that's a what the F moment. I really don't.
For me, it is.
If you see, Mike, I thought you were going to go better than that. I thought you were going to say something like, how the hell does a lake connect with the Atlantic Ocean?
I don't know how that's Mike, how you say that's a what the fuck moment and then the telekinesis is acceptable. I'm just confused.
Yeah, Mike has a very strange way of looking at things. Jason jumps down 2 flights of metal stairs to kill the girl who's playing the guitar, and you never hear him hit the floor or anything. He's just down there.
Oh,
yeah, well,
that's a good point, Alex.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, she looks up, she sees him, runs down, and he's down there and hits her with the guitar.
I've never noticed that. You know what? That's a really good point, because I can see it in my head that happening. I haven't seen the movie in a while. Probably should have brushed up, but I remember that scene, and that, you know what? You're right on with that.
Yeah, and you got stupid things like, we just talked about Julius's head landing in the dumpster, so then you got to imagine Jason climbs in a dumpster, pulls his head out, sets it up in the cop car, so that when they get back in the car and open the thing, his head's sitting on the dashboard. That's kind of...
Maybe Jason has psychic powers, though, so we can just, like, wave his hand and the head flies out of the dumpster into his hand so he doesn't have to do all that work.
Psychic powers? You mean telekinesis?
Yeah, well, whatever. Telekinesis, psychic, whatever. Jason's got it all.
I think we can all agree that Jason really doesn't have any rules, per se. You know, you can do whatever you want to him. He's not going to die, except if you blow him up. Oh, wait, he doesn't even die after that, but we'll get to that in the next one.
Oh, God. And that's going to be our shortest show.
Oh my!
Yeah.
I'm dreading it, gentlemen. But we'll try and make it through just so we can get to the next couple ones, which I'm very excited about. Not that I'm not excited about it. No, actually, yeah, I'm not excited about it at all. I'm just going to be real with the people. I hate that movie with a passion. This movie, like I said, I don't hate this one at all. I'll throw it on every once in a while, maybe after a six-pack or something, and really enjoy this movie. The next one, I can't even make it through. Anyways, like I said, we'll get to that after. But you want to talk about peaks and valleys. Now, if this is a valley and this is continuing on to 9, I got to say, if you're going to rank them, this one's a hell of a lot better than 9. I'll give it that.
Yeah, and you know what? Remember how I made the analogy that a girl, you might think a girl at work is hot, but she's hot because you're at work and everyone else looks like freaking, Estelle Getty.
Of course.
I was going to say dog shit, but if you want to say Estelle Getty, that's fine.
Now, what that means is, the analogy is that you have to judge something within the realm of where you are and what it is. Now,
absolutely.
All of these movies are pure garbage if you're going to compare them to Goodfellas, or if you're going to compare them to freaking,
Seven, yeah.
Like real movies. If you're going to do that, then they're all garbage. But, so now, as a Jason movie, you can't really rank this that low compared to part 7, 9, 10, Freddy vs. Jason, 3, 5. You can't really say that this is terrible. We've talked about this movie. I think we're on the 50-minute mark, and I haven't heard word one yet of what's really so bad about it, except the overall consensus that at the end of the movie it's like, but at the same time, which part was really the bad part compared to anything? It's hard. I understand. Sometimes even if it's not that bad, it just didn't hit a nerve with you. But
that's my take on it, Alex.
Yeah, okay. Right. But Mike, me and Mike used to be on a show a long time ago, and this guy made like this was the stupidest movie ever made. And Mike, I don't know, man, you didn't convince me it was yet.
Yeah, but see, the thing with you, Alex, though, is when you explain things, you break it down to why you do like it and why you don't. And I know what you're saying, too, about, us giving definitive answers to why this movie sucks. And I feel, I want to play that role of the guy being like, oh, fuck this movie, but I just don't feel that way in my heart of hearts. Now, like I said, there's something about this movie where I'm just like, okay, I mean, it's a decent movie. It's got Jason in it. Like you said, we love Jason, Take him in Manhattan. There's some cool stuff in that movie. And you know what, Alex? You're absolutely right. I totally agree with that. And it's just, I think it's just different views on the series altogether. And I'm glad we do because, I mean, it'd be boring if we all just agreed with each other. But it's weird how we all have different takes on it. I believe that, certain things happen for a reason, and you get to certain places in your life where certain things make sense and everything falls together, But I just think in the series it's tough because you get to this point, and at this point in my life when I saw this movie, I have seen a lot of the other ones before. So it's not like I just went out and bought this, blindly or anything. But when I saw this, I saw all the other ones pretty much, maybe right, if not right before, a day or two before. So I was really on the kick, and I was disappointed by 7, so I was really amped. Going back to our, preconceptions of movies going in, I think that's why it messed with me going in, because I was like, oh, this is going to be the greatest one yet. They probably have the best budget to date, and this, that, the other thing, it's going to be great. And then I was just disappointed, Like I said, it's just one of those things.
Yeah. Well, this is a long show, so let's get to the end. Go ahead, Mike. Tear it apart.
Well, you want me to rate it?
No. You have to talk about the most controversial part of the movie, and I'm going to save it for you once again. Go ahead.
Oh, the end of the film?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. All right.
How the fuck? Yeah,
so,
go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. How the fuck? Jason's sitting there, and he sees like, help me, mommy, and then all of a sudden, the wave of sewage like washes over him, and his mouth opens, and you see like water coming out. He looked like a frickin' zombie from Return of the Living Dead. He looked actually like a ripoff of Tarman from Return of the Living Dead in that scene. As he opens up and it's like, bah, bah, bah.
The Toxic Avenger or something.
Yeah, and then
that's where I agree with Mike wholeheartedly. I do not like that, but I said that before about all 80s movies in general, how they have those just over-the-top, cheesy special effects. Not that, I mean, I'm not referring to the real stuff like, you know, like something Savini would do or something, but something like that just totally took me out of it. To end it on that note, too, I think that's one of the reasons why it rubbed me the wrong way. I just didn't like it. I said, what the fuck was that?
That's exactly what I said, Dan, when I walked out of the theater.
Well, I can fix it all. That's what I do. Ready?
Yeah, let's hear you try to fix this.
I will. Your issue is, let me get this straight so I can understand you.
Mm-hmm.
The toxic waste washed Jason up. He falls down.
Mm-hmm.
The water or toxic waste disappears, and he's a small child, roughly 11 years old. You know, a little overweight, right? And you see he's sitting there, and you're like, what the hell is this?
And he's in a bathing suit. Why is he in a bathing suit?
Yeah, you're right. They should have shown a little boy's ass, right, Mike?
No, I'm not saying shoot that, but I'm saying just shoot it so you have the illusion that he's not wearing anything.
Here's why that was such an amazing ending.
Amazing? Yeah, well, oh, God, I got to hear this.
The door, because of the doors, it opened up.
It opened the door to hell?
Here's what you do.
What do you mean? I'm confused.
I know. Watch.
Explain yourself.
Friday the 13th, Part 9. Here's what you do.
Yeah.
You film it the same year. You get Rennie and Sean to do the cameo. They start off. They're at the police station. They make their reports. They tell them what happened. They get on a boat, and they go back to Crystal Lake where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
Jason creeps onto the boat as a child. He's a stowaway. He's eating rats, and he's living off the garbage and the food in the back. When they open the door to let the people out, Jason jumps through one of the portal windows and escapes into the dark woods. And he's there, and then time goes by, and they say to the present day, which would be exactly 10 years later. Now Jason's 21, and he's living back in Crystal Lake, and he's a human again. And now the movies can be serious again.
That would be good if it happened. That didn't happen, though.
Yeah, but it's so good because now we don't have to have the comical zombie Jason. Now we can get hardcore to part 2, 3, and 4 again.
Right. No, I agree. That's a great idea, Alex. But number 9 didn't do that.
Yeah, and you're missing the big picture.
What?
How the hell did he go from a friggin' zombie going spitting the water out of his mouth to a friggin' 10-year-old kid? How does that happen? How?
Mike, how do you come back to life because lightning hit a skeleton with some carcass meat on it? I don't know.
Exactly. See, by part 8 now, we've pretty much gone over none of the shit with Jason makes sense. Lightning, bolts, and everything.
So that makes no less sense.
But that really wouldn't have made any
Alex,
sense.
I know what you're saying, though, and that is great. But like I said, we're going... You look at what number 9 is, and they didn't do that. Now, while that's a great idea and it can be explained, now number 9 didn't explain it that way. You know what I mean? It had nothing to do with it. So therefore, it's just it's more confusing. And
that's because they didn't ask me to do it. ADUMB, Adam Marcus is an asshole. And that's why that didn't happen. He had the perfect opening. He could say, I'm going to make Jason, I'm going to make it serious again. But he freaking blew it. He blew it worse than anybody in the world, and we're going to get to that. But for now, that's my explanation for why this was not a bad movie from beginning to end. There's nothing wrong with it, and except for the budget, it could have been better. That's about it. Other than
like
that,
Alex said in the top of the show, this is the most controversial one because of our views on it and everybody's view in general. So I'm interested to how people perceive this show because, I think we kept it pretty real. We pretty much laid down the law. And to see people, take it and see where they go with it and see what they got to say about our views on it, whether we're right or wrong, I think we all made pretty good points.
Yeah, and I want to see... I hope we said things most people don't say, and I hope it gets people to think, and that's all we're doing. You guys made me think, I made you think, and hopefully we made anyone who listens think, and that, and I hope that people like it. All right, so let's go to the awards. Originality of the storyline. This is pretty damn original, if I say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll give it originality, and that's probably, I'll give it that.
Okay, here's where we're going to get hit hard, sort of. Location. Too much boat, right?
Negative. Total negative.
Well, for where it was
that.
supposed to be in New York, I think it was a great idea at the time. Like I said before, take him out of his element. What else do you really have with Jason? How many times can you put him around a
bunch
group
of
of
trees.
campers or camp counselors? Take him out. Get him out of there. Where are you going to put him? The biggest city in the fucking world. So.
Yeah.
And I don't even mind that he was on the boat. That was kind of, dude, think of how scary that is, dude. You're stuck on a ship with Jason Voorhees. Do you know how terrifying that is?
Yeah. I did like the boat aspect, too, though. That was pretty cool, man. Like I said before, my only gripe with that is they should have called it, like you said, Jason takes Lazarus or something. So, yeah, exactly. I like the boat thing, too, though. Like you said, originality, it was different. And, you can't, I'm sorry, you can't argue that. It was definitely original.
Hottest girls. I think it's between Susie Donaldson from the beginning of the movie and the blonde cokehead.
Susie all the way. Forget the blonde cokehead. Susie.
I love how she doesn't have a name, just blonde cokehead.
Tamara, I believe.
Yeah, Tamara. Yeah. The thing is, she I didn't like her ass that much at all. No.
Susie was hot, though, so.
Yeah.
No arguments
yeah,
on this part of the show.
I'm surprised that, you enjoy Susie, even though she's not as well endowed as you gentlemen like.
Yeah, it's all right. It depends, Yeah, the overall package is important. I just wouldn't throw a girl out of my bed because her tits are too big, like you.
Right.
I totally would.
Yeah.
I don't go on things like that, to be perfectly honest with you guys, breaking it down. It doesn't matter to me at all, You could be an A cup or a double D, 36, whatever. It doesn't matter to me,
Me too. I don't care. I just said I enjoy them. I was just kidding about the pancake tits in part 5.
Right.
I prefer something there, but whatever. A minimal B cup would be nice.
You gotta have something to grab.
Kills. These were some good ones. You got.
No, you know what my favorite is, though? Check this.
That?
The captain.
Yes.
When Jason slits his throat and kind of like
tilts his head back
and it just opens up and shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that.
That was nice.
You got that one. You got Jason throwing the guy off the top of that pole, and then he gets impaled. That was scary, man. Can you imagine being at the top of that, and then this guy's pulling you off? That's scary as hell.
Kills were pretty good overall in this movie, I think. And then obviously I know we haven't gotten to it. Well, we did, but not on our little list here. Is the head coming off? I think if you think it's cheesy or not, that was some badass shit. You've never seen Jason actually go to that extent. Like I know Mike said he didn't understand it, but just basically like, listen, motherfucker, I'm a badass. I'm gonna take one shot and take your whole head off. Like that's a statement.
Yeah.
More campy, if you will. I shouldn't use that word dumber, but they definitely get a little more comical. Like, would you imagine seeing, even in part 2 or 3, a guy getting his head knocked off completely? I mean, I just don't see it. I think the tone of those movies were more serious.
Dude, come on. The guy, part 3, squeeze a guy's head, his eye pops into the camera.
Well, yeah, that was the 3D thing. Right, yeah.
I don't think that's far from getting your head punched off.
True, you're right. Good point.
So it's just a different time. I don't think the level of what they were willing to do changed. But I think part 2.
You're absolutely right. I look dumb. You're right.
No. But part 2 was the last true Friday the 13th. From there, it lost something. Even though part 4 came back, since 3 is there, it's just
lackluster, you think?
It's just not realistic anymore. You can't get an axe buried into your skull, and number 1, if you cut through his shoulder like she did in part 2, he would have broken a artery and he would have bled to death. So from that point on, it's all unrealistic, and it just got more unrealistic as we went on. So it's just not going to be taken very seriously like the first 2, and that's it.
Exactly. Good point, sir.
And then you got favorite quotes from the movie. Of course, a lot of people love Julius. Let's go find this motherfucker. And you got all that kind of stuff. You got, we're in New York. We are in New York City. All right, well, this is over. I guess we're done with this one. And I don't think I was proven completely wrong, and I wasn't completely right because there are things wrong with this movie. But
do you want to rate it?
Yeah. So I hope Mike has listened to this show that he was on, and maybe said, you know what, I guess he's right. It really wasn't that bad. Let me give you 2 more points than I would have yesterday. So we'll see if you do that. All right, Mike, go ahead.
I give it 5.
Yes! Awesome rating. Awesome.
I'll come halfway.
Awesome. All right, well, this is my 4th favorite Friday the 13th, behind 1, 2, and 4. This is my next one, and then part 6, and then part 7, and then part 3.
This one more than 6?
Yeah.
You're on drugs.
I give it a 4.
I'm going to give this a solid 8.
Okay.
Isn't that weird? It's 8 for 8, yep.
Right.
We've actually done that quite a few times in this series.
And you know what, though? And that's the thing, too. Like you said, too, Alex, I think we've all made good points, you know? I think we're pretty much right on this movie, you know? Not the worst in the world, but, you know, in my opinion, too, definitely not the best, so. Yep.
All right. Well, you heard it here. This was the controversial Jason Takes Manhattan episode of the 12 Days of Friday the 13th from the Skeleton Crew exclusively at horrorbid.com. And we will see you tomorrow when this show and Jason goes to hell.
I say we regroup and let's go find this motherfucker before he finds us, huh? Are you with me?
Watch your mouth, young man, and you'll do no such thing. I'm in charge here.
School is out, okay?